All right, let's go. Let's go. Pick and Roll Podcast, episode 4. I'd like to welcome everybody that's been listening. We did a good job on the last couple podcasts. We're starting to grow this thing. How you feeling, Mr. Super Dave?
Living, baby.
My sidekick in the pick and roll. I
Let's get
set the screens and then he throws the lob. That's what this is. I'm Shaq. He's Derek Fisher.
it. Ooh.
Yes, it's the Derek Fisher of this podcast. My man, Super Dave. Nah, he really balls. He really gets to it. It's not that. This is more like a Shaq and Kobe thing. Let's put it that way. Or
Jordan Pippen.
Jordan Pippen. We can do that. Gary Payton, Sean Kemp.
Okay.
Okay, let's go NBA Jam. Dan Marley, Kevin Johnson.
Spoon and Dana Barrows.
Spoon and Dana Barrows. That is it. Hornacek was the third guy you could cycle.
Yeah.
And they had Sean Bradley.
Yeah.
So, this could be Sean Bradley and Spoon. Who you want to be?
I'd rather be Spoon. I ain't getting dunked
I'll
on.
take Sean Bradley. He was a double-double. He was a walking double-double.
And he was a walking poster.
Yeah, he was. He did get posted. But, real talk, that's one thing a lot of people don't realize. He got a lot of blocks per game.
He did.
One of the people I was looking at, like, their stats, and I hear old heads talk about him, but I missed that era. Mark Eaton. He was out of pocket. His block stats were crazy.
Is he like second all time, third, something like
I
that?
think he's second all time. I think he's second behind. I'm not sure who he's behind.
Hakeem
It might be
Olajuwon.
behind Hakeem, but Mark Eaton at one point I think was punching like 6-7 a game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, why do y'all keep trying? But that was the old days. Like, we're not deterred because you do this one thing very well. We're still gonna come at you and get at you.
Yeah, I was just having a Facebook conversation, and somebody said shot blockers didn't mean anything.
They said it doesn't mean anything now.
Uh, it was a discussion about what's that, the '07 team, that the Cavs team that LeBron took to the finals,
Okay.
and when they beat Detroit.
Yeah.
And I was like, that wasn't the same Detroit team because Ben Wallace wasn't the center. Chris Webber was the starting center.
Yeah. Yeah.
And back then, LeBron didn't have a jump shot really. So a lot of his points came in the paint. So I'm like, when you don't see a premier shot blocker down there, I'm going to go down there all the time.
Yeah, and you see what happened when he saw Dwight Howard in there. They got ushered out of the playoffs swiftly.
And then there was a guy that said, oh, shot blocking really don't mean anything.
That's crazy. Like and we're gonna get to it. Joel Embiid. I don't think people realize he could also be Defensive Player of the Year for what he does. Giannis is another guy. They're real rim protectors in today's NBA.
Mm-hmm.
They cover up the deficiencies anybody might have on the wing.
Right.
So how can a person like claim to know sports and basketball and say shot blocking doesn't mean anything?
Yeah, this guy was saying Detroit that year had 5 or 6 guys averaging close to a block. So when I went and did the research,
Yeah.
Sheed averaged 1.6. That's great.
Yeah.
But then you had Tayshaun averaging 0.7.
Okay.
But that's because he's blocking jump shots, guards, and stuff. So
Yeah,
that's not rim protection.
He was a freakishly long wing player.
and then a guy named Jason Maxill, Nazi Muhammad.
Right.
I'm like, are you serious?
I mean, yeah. If you're gonna throw names like that in there, come on, man. Rim protection is needed on every NBA team. That's what it is. Everybody's trying to find a rim protector. They have rim protectors in LA. They've got rim protectors in Philly. They've got a lot of the teams that are struggling is because they don't have anybody on the inside. When they say the big man is gone, I disagree. Even look at Brooklyn. They have rim protection. DeAndre Jordan is a deterrent for less than premier elite players to go to the hole. Like the average guard, the average wing player is not going to try DeAndre Jordan. He's punching that back into the stands. Jared Allen, you saw it. Like he legitimized. He was such a big part of that Nets team last year and the year before because he legitimized them. Those guys, their responsibilities were a lot less. They could play out further on defense because he was punching everything and he had that range as a defender. Who are you talking to? One of these days, I'm gonna have you start naming these people. The people who say like, Jordan is not the greatest player of his era and that his era was watered down. I want to start knowing who these people are and inviting them on here.
A lot of the people that say that are kids.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I'm starting to like. That's what you got to do now. You got to ask somebody's age, because they never saw Jordan play, only on NBA Classics or YouTube or,
Yeah.
or The Last Dance.
Yeah, they don't know the flow of an NBA game.
They saw the tail end of Kobe, so LeBron is all they seeing.
That's crazy to only see the tail end of Kobe. I'm one of those people. I enjoyed Kobe with with the three-peat Kobe the most. I really didn't enjoy, and I'm not saying like it wasn't good basketball to watch, but I thought that was the most efficient Kobe on those Laker teams. Watching Kobe like try to, I guess carry bums and stuff. It wasn't pleasurable basketball to watch because in my highly critical mind, and I could be crazy, I don't think he approached those situations the way I wanted him to, which was kind of take some away from yourself.
When you say carry the bums, are you talking about?
Smush Parker.
All right, so after,
Garbage.
after Shaq, before Gasol,
Yes.
in between there,
The era.
Smush and
Smush, Kwame Brown, who
Adam
else was on
Morrison.
that team? Adam Morrison.
Brian Cook. Yeah, all right, I got you.
Yeah. Those are that Kobe I really didn't enjoy watching because I felt like he could have played the game a little bit differently and achieved a little bit more success. He probably should have got an MVP award somewhere in there. I'm one of those people in that era. I don't think Steve Nash should have got those MVPs. I just, but I did like Kobe at the end because he was still a killer. And one of my lasting memories of Kobe, which I think is one of the greatest memories of all, is him coming back later in his career and putting that dunk down over Gerald Wallace and someone else when they tried to track him down against the Nets. Yeah, that was a great Kobe moment.
I think it was Ryan Humphries.
Yeah, it might have been Chris Humphries. It might have been Chris Humphries and Gerald Wallace.
Chris Kardashian.
And he threw it down. And then I like that savvy, still OG Kobe that could still hit shots. And also he did the toughest thing in NBA history. He hit 2 free throws on a torn Achilles and walked off on his own power. And I never, I didn't know at the time, but I just remember them showing it like, oh, Kobe suffers lower leg injury. And I remember seeing the update, and who knew that would be the end of,
Right.
High performance Kobe. But that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, I refuse to have like basketball arguments with anybody under 30. And if you're over 30, I gotta feel like or if you're 30, I gotta really feel like you care about the game of basketball.
To the people that's over 30,
Yeah.
that's saying LeBron is the GOAT. My thing to that is, I think when you were young, Michael Jordan killed your favorite team, so you hate him.
Yeah.
So now you're like, oh no, he's not the GOAT. LeBron's the GOAT.
Yeah, and that's what, and that goes like that kind of ties in with the fake fan thing. I'm a Sixers fan. Michael Jordan knocked us out when we had Barkley. It was Barkley at the height of his powers, franchise player, but Jordan was too much. Barkley wasn't carrying decent teams at all, but Jordan was just that deal. That's all they needed. They didn't even need their entire lineup to get us out the playoffs. It was Michael Jordan every night, toward the forest, coming to your city, blowing the doors off, or if you happen to get a tight game, he's finishing you in the end. There is no getting the best of Michael Jordan when it counted. And that's why I hated the Chicago Bulls, but I respected the hell out of what I was watching because he got his the hard way. He went through everybody that stood in front of him. And I don't think people really realize that.
Right.
His team was drafted, and the free agents that were acquired weren't prime guys at all.
No.
People say, oh, Jordan had Rodman. Rodman was on his way out of the league and into a mental institution. And he was a psycho. And Phil Jackson decided to take on that responsibility. You know what I mean? And Mike and Scotty just happened to be respected enough to kind of corral some of his wild ways. But when people try to use that as an excuse, I'm like, you don't understand the context of the time. Dennis Rodman had headbutted a ref. He kicked the cameraman in the balls. He did everything he possibly could to get banned from the sport of basketball.
Yep.
Yeah. And so for somebody to, when I hear these opinions from young people, it's like, I never saw, there was no easy way out, first of all, because player movement and salary cap. First of all, the salary cap wasn't there.
Right.
Your team's finances had to be able to handle that. And the NBA didn't make as much money. So putting together a super team meant you were going to go in the red and possibly lose your team. Owners have lost teams in my lifetime. i.e., New Orleans Pelicans.
Yes. And another thing I don't like when they say Mike never won without Scotty. They make it seem like before Scottie Pippen came to Chicago, he was an all-star. He done won championships already.
No,
He was a guy that we got on draft day. Didn't even start.
nope.
Averaged maybe 10 points a game. So Mike had to groom him into who he is now.
They had to. They Scottie Pippen, when they got him, was a piece of clay,
Yes.
and they had to groom him like they had to make him the toughest player he could possibly be, because what they don't understand is that he was one of the softest players in the draft. Scotty wasn't physical. He just had a bunch of skills. He was a raw talent. I compare Scottie Pippen, and it's not disrespect because he was much greater than these guys will ever be. But when you talk about raw skill set, he's like a Robert Covington. The way Robert Covington was transformed into a starting level player in a true NBA talent, that's essentially who Scottie Pippen was. He just had a much higher ceiling than most of these guys because he was also the first of his kind, but he had to be taught everything that he became great at.
Right.
Jordan and those guys, they had to teach him how to just basically play real basketball because he didn't come from a great program either. So that's one of the things. It's like the Chicago Bulls, they really built through the draft. They knew how to cycle out veterans for other veterans before they got too old and before they became useless.
Like I had one guy tell me, this was a couple years ago. He was saying that the Bulls had two of the best Europeans on the same team. And I was like, well, who are you talking about? The guy said Tony Kukoc and Luke Longley.
Come on, man.
That was the end of in my conversation with him.
Yo, we're going to start naming these people in a minute
We have to.
because we found out who Tony Kukoc was when he came to the Sixers. I remember we signed him. I'm like, damn, we gave him a lot of bread, but yo, we back. Iverson got help. No, Tony Kukoc got help out of the organization. They helped his ass back overseas. Like, yo, you want to pack because you're not who you said you were. And we had a long line of guys like that, like trying to figure out who actually really could play. Keith Van Horn, he was done up when we got him. Tom Gugliotta, like we had everybody fall through Philly. Philly was crazy. Like one of the better players to fall through at the end of his career was Derek Coleman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? DC actually gave us some solid years.
And
here.
Mutombo.
Yeah, Mutombo. Yeah. But see, even he was done up, but it was on a team that was primed to go to the finals. We were already far and away the best team in the East.
Yeah, y'all was a great defensive team, and then when y'all traded Theo for Mutombo, that was just
the
extra defensive piece that you needed.
Exactly. But it took a little away from offense, which I think will hurt us because we weren't a transition team anymore because Mutombo couldn't run end to end. And we didn't have anybody on the bench that could do that. Matt Geiger, he was dogging it. He really wasn't playing his hardest. Look, man, we getting into a lot of stuff, but see, this is where you and I, we're basketball historians. And when we say we're a fan of a team or we're a fan of the sport, we have moments of reference and a frame of reference to go to that actually makes sense.
Yes.
And sometimes I think people undervalue the frame of reference. Like, I've been watching basketball my entire life. You're 25 years old and you just became a sports fan when LeBron made the decision.
Yep.
I became a sports fan when I was 5 years old, 6 years old. I don't know anything else.
Right.
I'm from the era where there wasn't much else for kids to do. If you didn't have video games or video games weren't available to you at the moment, you watched sports.
Or you went outside and played.
Or you went outside. Yes, you went outside and played sports. You didn't stack your teams. All the big people were split up, and then we split up the talent, and then whoever else was left, we picked up to fill out the game, whether it be football or basketball or just wrestling. We would be, you know what I mean? You're not going to get all the big people or all the best people on the same team. We wanted to be competitive. That's the difference in eras and generations. But I guess since we're already talking basketball, let's start here. Did you see Joel Embiid?
The injury?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know, my heart dropped. I don't know if you saw my Facebook message, but the big no with the exclamation point.
I saw it.
Not Embiid. I was like, damn.
I'm glad it's only like a hyperextension bone bruise.
Yeah.
I had one of those before.
Yeah, I've had them too. They hurt.
But I think I don't know about you, but a lot of Sixer fans was going crazy because they know if Embiid is out, Ben Simmons can't lead them to the promised land.
That's a fact, and it's not really Ben's role.
But if the roles were reversed, if Ben was out and it was just Embiid, Sixer fans wouldn't be that discouraged because you can Tobias and Embiid can still get you somewhere.
I think the way the Eastern Conference is now, Tobias and Embiid will get you out, get you to the second round, and most likely beyond. Get you to the Eastern Conference final with the way this team is constructed.
Yeah.
Ben Simmons gives you a chance at the finals because he adds a lot of dirty work and a lot of hustle plays, and he adds a lot of the little things that you need to get over the hump. Ben Simmons could end up being the greatest role player of all time. Like as close as you get to a star elite player, but does a lot of role player things without ever having to be the alpha. You see what I'm saying? He might be one of the best switchblades ever. And I'm saying it's a long way from it, but he could be. And that's what I'm seeing. Because Doc Rivers has somehow unlocked parts of his game and surrounded him with pieces that complement what him and Embiid actually do, which is something Brett Brown didn't do. He didn't compliment what they actually did. He complimented whatever was going on in his little feeble mind.
My issue with Ben Simmons is he has played the same game since high school.
Yes.
Like he has not gotten better. The same exact stuff that he's doing in the NBA right now is what he did in college that one year and what he did in high school.
But does that speak to his level of phenom that he was good enough to do this, 6 years ago,
or
on the NBA level?
Or it speaks to that, like especially when it's in high school, you're 6'10", handling the ball.
That's true.
In high school, you don't have many 6'10" guys as guards.
So sticking with this, I do see improvements in Ben Simmons, but I think I credit that to coaching. He's got a coaching staff over there that he has to respect. It's Doc Rivers, it's Sam Cassell, and some veteran coaches up and down that bench. And there's a level of accountability that's there, and they're not going to allow him to play any less than high level basketball. So what I'm seeing, he's got way better decision making. He's using his aggression to free up the actual shooters and scorers even more. Like he's even if he's not driving to the basket, he's 100 miles an hour drawing that defender every single time because he's learned how to finish and he stopped being timid.
And to his credit, y'all didn't have this many shooters around him before.
We had shooters, but we didn't have this many veteran shooters. See, that's the thing. Like,
what shooters did y'all have besides JJ Redick?
I would say we had Robert Covington. He was a shooter. Redick. We had Ilyasova. We had Bellinelli. When we first got good,
Covington.
He was a true 3-point shooter, 3 and D. Robert Covington was above 40%, and he was a defensive guy, but he knocked down threes a lot.
Stinks.
He missed a lot too, but he was above 40%. So you can count him as a 3-point shooter.
Yeah, when all you do is shoot threes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but the opportunities were there. But I think, their philosophy now is, floor spacing and making the extra pass. And when you have veterans, I think Seth Curry and Danny Green, these guys are undervalued because they've done this so many times. Mm-hmm. They don't make the amount of mistakes that a mid-level player makes throughout the game. Their game and their performance is going to consistently be at a starting caliber level, and they know how to coexist around elite players
because they know they role.
Exactly.
You're not gonna drive and kick it to Seth Curry and then he's gonna pump fake out the three and then dribble to the basket. That's not what he's gonna do. He'll pump fake, step to the side, step in, but if the pump fake don't work, he's not gonna force anything. He's gonna swing it back around.
Exactly, and they rarely there's a lot of things that the Sixers are so much better at, and it speaks to picking up. Like some people say, oh, you guys picked up Danny Green, Seth Curry, and Dwight Howard. That doesn't mean anything. It means a lot because these guys are going to consistently do exactly what they're supposed to do. They're going to consistently perform at the level the team needs them to because they've seen it all. One of the things that's been cleaned up a lot in Philly, and this helps make Embiid better, because I think, aside from him getting in shape, there's not a lot different from Embiid other than they're telling him to be more aggressive, try to make MVP. Mm-hmm. The only way you're going to do that is by dominating. We'll take care of all the guys around you. You just go out there and be Joel Embiid. You go out there and eat. And what I've been seeing is you don't see a lot of the mistake-riddled basketball that we had before. Embiid's passing out of double teams quicker. You don't have guys dribbling in the corners, dribbling to the baseline, getting trapped. You don't see errant passes like you used to. And on the defensive end, everybody's being held accountable. And Embiid's being put in better positions to where he's not in foul trouble. Because these veterans know how to dictate to the offense what they're going to give up. Like, I've been watching the Sixers really run a basketball clinic all year. So back to the original point, when Embiid went down and I saw that knee go the other way, I saw my championship. I told myself I'm not going to watch for the rest of the year. And I think the Sixers would still make the playoffs and be upper tier in the East. But because I do think Ben can lead you for small stretches, like we saw in Utah. He put up 42, but there were other players out, so they suffered that game. But you saw, like, there is a way Ben can really, galvanize these guys in the absence of Embiid. But I was like, for the long haul, second half of the season, coming down the stretch, oh, no, I'm not watching this. I'm cutting this off. I feel cheated. I was going to blame the Illuminati, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, I was going to blame the Illuminati. I'm like, you know what, this Embiid, he a sacrifice. I was like, this is what they do. I was going to go the Illuminati defense.
So it would have been, since my Bills went to the AFC Championship.
Exactly.
They
They
had to
coming for
sacrifice
me.
the
Yeah.
Sixers, right?
Yeah, this is what I got to deal with to make this podcast go. They was going to take the Sixers from me.
You'll be all right.
Nah. I was really about to quit.
Still got the Mariners.
Yeah. Oh, we can talk about them a little bit later in the show. But Embiid being out 3 weeks, do you see the Sixers sustaining at the top of the East?
Yeah, they can, but the Nets is rolling.
They rolling. They are
So-
rolling. And KD is not even playing.
Right.
I'm not one of the people that thought the highest of the Nets in their newly acquired roster. I think they're really going to have to work Blake Griffin in there. Like, I noticed he's still sitting, and they're trying to figure out what his status is day to day. But I do see them playing this great basketball. And James Harden's looking like the all-around player that we know him to be.
You have to put him in the MVP discussion now.
I think you do. But I think James Harden, and it speaks to, the way he was viewed in Houston, that was gimmick basketball.
Yeah.
It was totally unsustainable and unrealistic. And I think it's extremely important that people understand this is who James Harden always was. This is who he was in Oklahoma City early in his career. He's a guy that does it all. He puts the ball in the basket. He makes his teammates better. He just does everything you need him to do to win a basketball game. And Brooklyn is definitely rolling. Without Embiid for the next 3 weeks, I was encouraged the other night. Well, first of all, Embiid got hurt in the game when they smoked Washington, a team that they were kind of dogfighting with all year. It was no contest, and they shut Bradley Beal down. The Sixers are they're in midseason form, and they're rolling right now. And then the other night, they almost beat the Spurs by 40. Spurs are a Western Conference playoff team right now. They're number 6 in the West, I believe, or number 7.
6 or 7.
Yeah, they're 6 or 7 in the West right now. Sixers made them.
They didn't have their best player, but I don't think it would have meant anything.
Yeah, because the Sixers were out Embiid.
Yeah, DeRozan didn't play, but it would have still been.
I mean, it was beautiful to watch, and I think Doc Rivers, if the Sixers can at least stay top 3 in the East, I think that's Coach of the Year. Because I don't think the Knicks will get good enough, but I think Thibodeau is doing a fantastic job. But I also think Doc Rivers is Coach of the Year.
No.
Who you gonna give it to?
Quinn Snyder.
Quinn Snyder,
Utah. Especially if they finish number 1 in the West.
If they do finish 1 in the West,
because right now they got the best record in the league.
they do.
So it's gonna be hard to go give somebody else the nod over Quinn Snyder.
How do you feel about Utah? Do you think they sustain in the West? Because
No.
I get 2014 Hawks vibes from them.
Yeah, I don't think that. I get the 2014 Hawks vibe.
Yeah.
I get that Raptors team vibe when LeBron was still in Cleveland. He went up there and beat him.
I've never seen a team see ghost like the Raptors used to see with LeBron.
I see with Utah, like in a 7-game series when a team got to prepare for you.
Yeah.
I think the Lakers, the Clippers, the Nuggets, I think they all beat Utah in a 7-game series.
My biggest problem with Utah is if your best player's gonna be a two guard, and I hate this because I love Dame Lillard, but your best player can't be a small guard. He is undersized at that position. And I think it's always going to come back because he can play some solid defense against guys his stature, but you're always going to have to keep a lineup on the floor that's going to have to, somebody else is going to have to take away their game to cover him up defensively. And he's going to give up buckets. That's one of the things I don't think, I like when I watch Donovan Mitchell, I see him giving up a lot of buckets. And it's just, he's just small in stature. Mm-hmm. The athleticism is there, but he doesn't have the length to really stop drivers from driving, to stop guys from pulling up. He just doesn't have it.
Right.
And I think in today's NBA, with the athleticism of bigger wing players and bigger guards, I just can't see him being the best player on that team and them going far in the West.
No, I just think, like I said, I think there are teams in the West that's better than them.
Yeah.
7-game series wise, it's easy in the regular season because you'll play Chicago.
Yeah, you can barnstorm.
You could just
you can catch Chicago and Memphis and
you catch the Lakers on
Orlando.
You catch the Lakers on a back-to-back.
Right.
I mean, you could get them, but when it's a 7-game series and we know you're our opponent, and we could game plan for this, I don't think they're gonna beat anybody.
And it's like, I didn't know we were gonna do this today until right before the show, but we're going to give LeBron some props. They're rolling right now in the West without Anthony Davis. They've seemed to hit a stride.
Mm-hmm.
You had an opinion before the show. What was that?
Yeah, I don't think they really played anybody yet. Without AD.
Without AD?
For as far as the second half of the season go.
Okay.
So far, I don't think they play anybody.
What's it going to... So, let's say they do this for another 2 weeks, right? They win 75% of their games over the next 2 weeks, and they're still number 2 in the West. Do you then legitimize it regardless of opponents? Because to me, in this type of schedule, in this type of season, I think your performance, being able to stay consistent, given the circumstances, is very important regardless of who you play.
Right, but while they're rolling right now, if teams were on that schedule was they beat the Clippers, they beat Milwaukee, Utah, like it don't have to be all of them, but just like be one or two, then I could say, you know, I mean, they showed me something.
Okay, all right.
Because they jumped on Golden State last night.
Oh yeah, Golden State, and they're so up and down because their system is so new and they got so many new pieces. Mm-hmm. I think Golden State is a team that you don't want to see in the first round, though.
No,
I definitely would. If I don't care who I am in the West. That is going to be a series where you're going to do a lot of running, and you're going to expend a lot of energy chasing those kids and Steph Curry around.
And right now they're the 8th seed.
Yes.
And they will be playing Utah.
Well, and I think, you know, some of their guys have hit the rookie wall, and some of those young players. But if they can catch a stride and knock off a few teams and get some of those guys confident again, like a James Wiseman, if they can start seeing some returns on that and start seeing an increase in those returns, like coming down the stretch, I really think they could not be a threat to knock somebody off, but to give somebody a real good series, an exciting series in the first round.
Did you see what they did to Utah the other day?
No, I did not.
Yeah, they beat Utah by almost 20 points.
It can happen any given night with them, but and that speaks to veterans. And that speaks to young players. Mm-hmm. Young players are wildly inconsistent. They'll give you one night. It's the Pelicans and the Clippers last night. Mm-hmm. Pelicans destroyed them. But we know if there's a 7-game series, it's not going down.
Like I think when I watched that Utah and Golden State game, Utah's a 3-point shooting team. Besides Gobert, it's Gobert and then a bunch of 3-point shooters. You can't really go 3-point for 3-pointers with Golden State.
No, you can't.
Even with Klay not playing, you can't do that.
You can't. And honestly, it's tough on Rudy Gobert to come out there and have to try to exhibit some range because he's not the fleetest of foot. And that's why I think Rudy Gobert falls short of being this elite big man that people want him to be. Mm-hmm. And also, like, I just don't believe in big men who don't have actual post moves to go to. Like, I don't believe in it. I'm not a Rudy Gobert guy.
Embiid is probably like the only big in the league that has post moves.
Yeah. There's some smaller centers that can that have a soft touch around the basket.
Yeah.
But yeah, Embiid is the only true dominant big man that has, moves in the post. He's got the fadeaway. He's got the inside, mid-range, outside game. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't see Gobert being even close to that level.
Question: with Embiid, how long Embiid is out?
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
With him being out these 3 weeks, who's your favorite for MVP? Did
It's got to be LeBron.
Did he lose his MVP?
It's got to be LeBron, right? If Embiid comes back and he's continuing to average high 20s, 13 boards a game, 14 boards a game, he's still shooting, these amazing percentages where it's like 80% at the line, above 40% at three, over 60% from the field. I think he can do it, but he would have to come back, either continue at this level, but most likely he'll have to exceed this level. The Sixers would have to play the Nets twice with Embiid and smoke them. Embiid would have to have 40 and 20 2 times as we smoke the Nets for people to see what his effect is.
What about Joker for MVP?
No, I don't believe it.
No?
That's a pretty deep team out there, and I just think like LeBron is number 2 in MVP because without Anthony Davis, they're still rolling. And although I like his supporting cast, they're just veterans.
Mm-hmm.
No one on that team really impresses me. LeBron is really, he's getting a little extra out of Kuzma, but LeBron is really making that engine go at his age, and the fact that he's not low managing at his age, he has to be MVP.
Another dark horse for MVP, which I think he should have been second or third in the MVP rush.
Yeah.
Chris Paul.
See, now here's the thing. There's 2 types of MVPs. There's the MVP from like the pure MVP. So it's not an award that's given out, but we know who's made the biggest difference to a franchise. Chris Paul should be in that discussion, but he plays in Phoenix and he's Chris Paul. People don't like him like that. Mm-hmm. So he's not going to get in that discussion, but Phoenix is a legitimate playoff team. Had they been a contender and had they been known for knocking all top teams this year, like one by one, and really displaying elite tendencies, I think he would get it. They got to come up with some quality wins to get Chris Paul in that discussion. Because I'm not one of the people that believe Devin Booker plays as well as he's playing this year without Chris Paul being present.
No, because Chris Paul had OKC as the 5th seed.
Yeah.
And then now he's in Phoenix. OKC is
exactly
in the dumpster.
Oh, yeah. OKC is in basketball purgatory. They're in the phantom zone. We're not going to hear from them for 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they got like 100 draft picks.
100. Yo, they have so many draft picks. I was reading an article that was talking about that, and I said, they've got so many draft picks. At some point, they're going to have to trade them away just because they can't do anything with them. And they're going to be first rounders. How many first rounders do you need? And I don't even know who you could package up all those picks to. I think they overdosed on draft picks right now. And at some point, maybe like 2-3 years from now, they're going to have to get better. But that speaks to Chris Paul's greatness. We always hear the stories. Chris Paul's not a good teammate. He's beefing with this guy. Him and Russ can't coexist. The way I'm looking at it, Chris Paul's doing his thing without any of the guys that they said he couldn't coexist with.
Right.
So what are we saying? Blake Griffin included. I would love to see him in the MVP race for the little guy, but we already know it's more of a popularity contest.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big factor into it, so Chris Paul's not going to be in it.
Got you.
NBA surprise, the Atlanta Hawks. Undefeated since Nate McMillan took over.
So that's definitely not going to last.
Yeah, it's not going to last, but I loved hearing these older coaches. Nate McMillan, if people don't know, he was a really solid NBA player. For everybody that doesn't remember Nate McMillan, go look him up. He once tore his Achilles practicing with his team as a coach, which is one of the greatest stories ever. He decided to lace him up and get out there and go through plays with him. It was hilarious. But to see him take over this Hawks team, he wasn't even going to do it. He didn't like the way Lloyd Pierce was fired, and he only came there to help Lloyd Pierce under the condition that he would not want to be head coach.
Mm-hmm.
So when he went to them and he got clearance from Lloyd Pierce and from the Hawks organization and got an understanding of what he was there to do, he's had these guys balling, and they're starting to close games out. So regardless of who they're playing against, they're starting to figure out a winning brand of basketball.
At the end of the day, they're the Atlanta Hawks. Like, they will find a way to blow it.
But like we said a couple of podcasts ago, there's going to be a tournament for 7 through 10, between the 7 and 10
7 and
seeds,
10
right?
seeds.
They're right now climbing into that. I think they're at 11, and they're like one game back of
Yeah.
that tournament.
Yeah.
And that's a team who I think is underperforming this year, given what they have on their roster. I think Trae
Yeah.
Young might show us something coming down the stretch.
Yeah, before the season on paper, they had a great team on paper.
Yeah.
They were what predicted to be what top 4?
I predicted them to be 5 or 6 in the East, and they could still get there. It's still a lot of basketball
it's
left.
wide open.
Yeah, and you still got the Hornets on your schedule. You still got Orlando. You don't know what Miami Heat you're getting from day to day.
The Knicks.
You got the Wizards in the East.
the Celtics.
You can beat the
the
Pacers.
Pistons.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of
they can make a
beatable
run.
teams. Yeah. So I'm rooting for Nate McMillan. I don't like rooting for any Atlanta franchises, but I'm rooting for Nate McMillan, man.
Yeah, I think the whole state of Georgia, their college and pro teams just need to just
They're lackluster, and
Go
what it
somewhere.
is, they always get close and they never finish the job. Like
Never.
like a Falcons fan could never talk about the Buffalo Bills for me. A Hawks fan could never talk about the 76ers to me. Just there's nothing you can say to me.
no.
You know, the Braves, yeah, you have a World Series, but the Mariners had Ken Griffey, and y'all had what? 16 division titles and 1 World Series to show for it.
Yes, they had the best pitcher staff for like 10 years
The
straight.
best pitching staff all time, top to bottom. Something is up down there. University of Georgia. Every time it's time for you to take control of the SEC, you blow it.
Blow it.
Like I don't know, man. Something in the water down there, something in the weather. I lived down there for a long time, but I like that they have a guy, Nate McMillan, who has NBA cachet, who's got that respect. I'm hoping they turn it around. I don't give a damn about none of them other teams though. They can do whatever.
Yeah. I hope they turn it around for Nate. Nate been through the trenches as far as a head coach. He can never get the right team that he want.
No,
So I mean, let's hope he turn the Hawks around.
he suffered through Brandon Roy, right?
Yeah.
He had Brandon Roy out there.
Yeah.
He caught bad deals every time. Brandon Roy and Greg Oden. That right there shows you what his luck is.
And he had
He was out there running with Luke Babbitt.
and when he was the coach of Indiana, Danny Granger got hurt.
Danny Granger got hurt during the finals run. Was that him or was Vogel the coach? Vogel
No.
wasn't the coach?
No, it was when Danny Granger got hurt. Nate McMillan was the coach,
Okay. Yeah, he was.
and then they drafted Paul George, and then when Granger came back, they didn't know how to play with both of them, so they had to.
Yeah, you're right, man. You're right. Yeah, I remember that stop. So shout out to Nate McMillan. I got a question for you. Do you see any major players moving before the NBA trade deadline? Do you see? First of all, let's talk about your Bulls. Do you see Zach LaVine moving? Because I'm tired of the rumors.
If we, I say no because of this little play-in tournament
Yeah.
where we're still in that 10-11 spot to where we could make some moves.
Yeah.
But if we start to fade, I think he'll get moved.
The other night, y'all looked horrible against the Sixers. And I was really disappointed in what I saw from Zach LaVine because he's been a name tossed around for Philly. And I saw just defensive deficiency the entire game. He couldn't stop anybody. He's out there not on our best players. He just couldn't stay in front of anybody.
Y'all didn't have any best players out there.
Yeah, exactly. Embiid and Simmons were both out for COVID from getting haircuts.
Mm-hmm.
And I just saw, but even the best players that were available, he wasn't going against anybody that was on his NBA stature, so to speak. And he got destroyed, demolished.
And then we smoked the Raptors after that.
It's the weirdest thing with your team. And
get it.
what is Otto Porter's purpose on the roster? Because I just didn't see a role for him. I see a lot of undefined roles on Chicago.
Otto Porter has the same purpose as a folding chair. Like, I don't want Otto Porter on my team, on my roster.
$25 million a year. Otto Porter,
I don't
baby.
want him to have a jersey.
Yeah.
Like, he's just there for nothing.
I had a Sixers fan in a group on Facebook say, man, maybe we should take a look at Otto Porter. And I said,
Yes.
maybe the doctors should take a look at your head.
Yes, take him.
Yeah, take a look at your brain on an EKG. Let's get you a CAT scan. I think you've been living next to some power lines or something.
Listen, if the Sixers call and want Otto Porter, I'll take a bucket of crab fries, some chicken and pizza
Yo,
in exchange for Otto Porter.
I was looking like this dude. I mean, I remember him in Washington, and I felt like he had potential.
Right.
I saw him in Chicago. And I was just like, this is awful. Like, I didn't get it, but I was happy to see the Sixers perform that way. But to see a bunch of bench players just steamroll a healthy young team like that was just, it was wild.
And I told you when you text me, I said, if we can't beat the Sixers when the Sixers are playing nobody, we
Yeah.
don't deserve to be in no playoff picture.
Not at all. Yeah, not at all.
If we can't stop Korkmaz from getting 30, we don't need to be in no playoff picture.
Do you see any teams in the NBA that may be able to make a move and get to whatever the next level is for them?
As far as like if
Like
are they
where
a
they're
piece
at.
away?
Yeah, a piece away from contending or getting to that next level in time for the playoffs.
Yeah, it's a few teams. I still think Milwaukee's a piece away.
They are.
I'm not really sold on Chris Middleton.
A lot of people give Middleton a lot of flack, but it's warranted.
Yeah. Maybe playoff time Drew Holiday will have a bigger role.
I think he'll have a great effect on them, but I think they need a power forward next to it. They need some length on that team and some athleticism.
I think they need a pure knockdown shooter.
Like, I say, what are you thinking? Like a Joe Ingles type guy or something, or
Like a JJ Redick,
like a JJ Redick? Okay,
to where you know you're not going to get much defense from JJ. That's why you got Drew Holiday to go play some defense with somebody.
yeah,
But you need that shooter to where when Giannis steamrolls to the basket, he'll have someone to kick it to that he could be like, all right, I'm going to kick it to him. He's going to knock it down.
or that's the kind of I could see the dribble handoff really working with somebody like that.
Yes.
You know, creating that mismatch for Giannis and things like that, and getting Giannis rolling to the basket on in that situation.
Now, I'm not going to say JJ is going to get them to the finals,
Yeah,
but he can help get them to further than what they have, what they should be. Because right now, I think they're probably like a second round team. It all depends on matchup.
my only concern with JJ Redick is he's such a liability on defense.
Yeah.
You're just not going to get anything out of him at this point in his career on the defensive end. So bringing him in is definitely going to you're going to have to account for that somewhere. A lot of people are going to have to pick up a lot of slack for JJ Redick.
Because that's just like now, if they go get JJ Redick,
Yeah.
they play the Sixers in the playoffs.
Okay.
You could put JJ Redick on Steph Curry.
Yeah, you could.
He's
Steph Curry's going to do him.
Steph Curry's gonna stand out there and do exactly what JJ Redick been doing. Just stay in the corner. He's not really gonna get the ball at ISO. He could, when they play the Nets, he can go on Joe Harris. Joe
Yeah,
Harris is
yeah.
not gonna isolate you.
No, not at all.
You know what I mean? So, but now, if they do a screen and he gotta guard Harden or somebody, then you're in trouble.
Yeah, you're going to be in big trouble.
But if
against
you
the Nets.
have a person out there whose skill set
a
is
dead
just
eye
like
shooter,
his,
yeah.
you can put JJ Redick. All right, he's gonna stay in the corner. Go get him.
Hmm.
So now it's basically 4-on-4 basketball.
What do you think you have to give up to get a JJ Redick though?
Probably nothing because I think New Orleans is trying to ship him out.
Yeah, it's just that having to match that salary, and since they gave him what was it, like $12.5 million or something like that, that makes him a little bit hard to move because you don't want to get the chances are $12.5 million worth of players on your roster are just as good or better than JJ Redick.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a lateral move.
Yeah.
So it's just about what you have to give up.
But I still think Milwaukee is a second round team. It all depends on the matchup because if they got to play the Sixers or the Nets in the second round, it's over.
LaMarcus Aldridge, the latest player to be sent home until there's a buyout or there's a trade before the deadline. Where could you see him ending up? Because he's clearly done in San Antonio.
I would like to see him back in Portland.
He left there. He wasn't feeling the idea of turning the team over to Dame, but that would be a great situation for him next to Nurkic, and or just coming off the bench for them, giving them hard minutes off the bench.
Or you could start him because
I would start him.
Nurkic is always hurt.
He's always hurt. But what I like about Aldridge is he's a little bit on the older side, but he knows how to play the four next to Nurkic.
Mm-hmm.
And then that would give you a legitimate front. And I've been waiting for Dame to get some help, and this is the opportunity.
And CJ come back tonight.
CJ does come back tonight. That does come back, and that makes the West a much more interesting conversation right now.
Mm-hmm.
So LaMarcus Aldridge, I personally would like to see him in Philly coming off the bench, because I think backup power forward, we've been getting good minutes out of the young Tony Bradley, but it's probably not sustainable coming down the stretch. And going into the playoffs, you don't want to rely on a guy that young unless he's a certified, prospect, a certified player already. But I would love to see Aldridge coming off the bench, giving us 15, 20 minutes a night and doing what he does with Dwight Howard on the floor.
I also like Aldridge in Milwaukee.
That would be great for and that's why I said they need a power forward. They need size and skill at that position.
Mm-hmm.
That would be great. That would be great. I think Milwaukee, that would definitely put them in the Nets Sixers stratosphere, because right now it's a 2-team race in the East, if you ask me.
Yeah. It's like Milwaukee's a close third, but not really close. If that makes any sense. Like they're better than Boston, and they're better than Miami right now, but the Nets and the Sixers are just it's gonna be. There's no stopping the Nets Sixers Eastern Conference Finals. Nothing stopping it.
Yeah, it's definitely happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless Embiid can't go.
Quickly, Aaron Gordon. Do you see anything happening with Aaron Gordon? Where do you see his career at? I just see him being a middling NBA player. I don't see him really elevating. I think time has passed.
Yeah, I think what we see of Aaron Gordon now is what we're gonna get.
It's wild because Orlando picked him up because of what they felt Tobias Harris wasn't going to become for them, and they thought Aaron Gordon was becoming that. And Aaron Gordon's not even Tobias Harris right now.
No.
And I don't think anybody would give him that kind of money because he hasn't specialized at doing one thing well, other than being athletic.
And yeah, that's it.
And dunking over mascots.
That's it. And Taco Fall.
Yeah, that's it. So I don't know. I'm curious to see where he goes. I don't know if he helps a contender.
No, I don't think so.
I see him just moving around to another team that's just gonna hold on to him, or I don't know. That's a weird situation going on down there. But that's a team that's clearly in the tank, and I'm wondering if Vucevic moves.
That's who I want Chicago to go get. There was rumors
Yeah,
that Chicago and Orlando was talking for Vucevic. I'll take it.
he'd be a very nice player to pair with Levine and Markkanen.
No, I believe Markkanen was going to Orlando.
I could see that.
Markkanen and Otto Porter were going to Orlando.
That still makes sense. I'm not mad at that at all. I just want to see Vucevic in a better situation. He's one of the more underrated players, and it's time to get out of Orlando, man. Nothing good's happening down there. It's you and Evan Fournier. It's time to leave. And what was it my man named Jonathan Isaac, and everybody's hurt down there.
He hasn't played at all this season, I don't think.
Yeah, Markelle Fultz is hurt. Everybody's hurt. And they just gave Markelle Fultz the Brinks truck.
Cole Anthony, he's gonna be a pretty decent player.
Okay. I could. It's just Orlando, man. They're like a black hole in basketball right now.
Yeah.
I just don't see them getting to that next level unless Cole Anthony becomes elite and then attracts another elite star. I just see Orlando being one of them 12, 15-year teams that just stay in the same spot.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's talk about the NFL. It's my favorite time of year in the NFL because I can dream, I can imagine what's going to happen. And we got the free agency tracker pulled up right now. We already talked about so if you guys go to CBS.com, CBS Sports, they have the free agency tracker with live updates. As this podcast was starting, Andy Dalton signed a 1-year, $10 million deal with the Chicago Bears. What's the situation in Chicago?
If they don't make another move, he'll be the starter.
Okay. I see him taking that job if Foles is there.
He's better than Foles.
Yeah.
Which, even though Foles won that Super Bowl with Philly, I never thought Nick Foles was good.
No, it was lightning in a bottle.
Right.
And I liked Nick Foles, but under certain circumstances, he's a good quarterback.
Yeah. He's just a good backup.
Right.
He's a journeyman.
Right. And if you have everything in place around him, he can carry you. But your team has to be elite in some area, like the Eagles were.
Yes.
I always told people like Nick Foles could carry that team, but he can't carry a team.
A team. No.
No, it's not gonna happen. Andy Dalton's a guy that I like, but for Chicago, that's a bad situation to be in. Like, all right, I know I got to move on from Mitch Trubisky, but I don't know if I can. But I know Nick Foles can't get it done, so I got to go get Andy Dalton, who really didn't help Dallas at all last year.
No. He signed with Chicago. That's a worse situation than Dallas.
Yeah.
Like offensively, Dallas is like light years ahead of Chicago.
Oh yeah, there's talent there.
You know, but on the defensive side of the ball, Chicago was better.
Mm-hmm.
But I think his bad play. I think he's gonna play bad in Chicago because there's no weapons around him, and the defense is gonna suffer.
For me, Chicago's problems right now are gonna begin and end, like I've always said it, with Khalil Mack. They have to move him. You're gonna have to lose on a trade. The way the New York Giants had to lose on Odell Beckham, you got to get out of that middle territory.
Well, they just redid his deal.
So they restructured Khalil Mack.
Yeah.
And then you should move them after you restructure. That's one of the two reasons you restructure somebody. You restructure them to save money so they can stick around, or you restructure them so you can move them somewhere else and not pay the same cap penalty in football. And that's what I think. Like at some point, they've got to move on from him. He accounts for too much of their salary cap. And they got to get some playmakers on that offense.
Breaking news: Bills just signed Emmanuel Sanders.
The Buffalo Bills signed Emmanuel Sanders. I like it. That's a great veteran pickup. We just had to let John Brown go, so because he was making almost $9 million a year. Emmanuel Sanders is John Brown, so that we keep pace with everything the Patriots did. And I didn't want to get there yet, but we're gonna hold that thought because we gotta go to the AFC East right now. Damn, I'm excited now. Oh man, I wish I could get to my Buffalo Bills chat right now. Talk to my pops. Shout out Bills Mafia. We here to stay, baby. Leonard Williams re-signed by the Giants. How do you feel as the number one Giants fan that I know?
It was. I mean, I knew it was gonna happen. I didn't want to lose Dalvin Tomlinson.
Yeah, I saw that.
But I knew we couldn't keep both.
Yeah.
Let's see what we do now. Like we kept the pass rusher. And now there's a couple guys that since we lost Tomlinson,
yeah,
I would sign a K'Wan Short from Carolina on a prove it deal.
Yeah, or draft a rookie. Like, he's a D tackle. And what is he, a one technique?
Yeah.
Yeah, one technique D tackles. You can find somebody, even a veteran, to hold down the fort next to Leonard Williams.
We need a receiver.
That's got to happen.
We signed what's the kid from Cincinnati? John Ross.
John Ross, yeah.
We signed him.
He's solid.
Solid, but I need a top flight number one.
We talked about this before. I don't know if there's any top flight number ones out there.
No. Allen Robinson.
Allen Robinson, I want to say he just got franchise tagged.
He got franchise, but he didn't sign it.
Oh, so he didn't sign the tender. Okay. How do you feel about an AJ Green?
I'll take an AJ Green over what I got now. I'll take an AJ.
Oh
Green.
yeah, over what you got now. But 2-3 year deal.
Yeah.
Just cash him out, have him come in, give Daniel Jones somebody solid number one. That's who I would like to see the Giants, if they want to get better. I would like to see them cement a top end veteran in that position.
I mean, we released Kevin Zeitzer.
Okay.
The guard. He was our best offensive lineman.
Yeah.
But I get it. He was making too much money. We was cash stripped, so we had to make a move to try to get some money back. So I'm just waiting to see what Gettleman do with the money that we have.
It's going to be very interesting. And like I said, I believe in Daniel Jones and the possibilities of what can be done. So I really would love to see the Giants be aggressive in this free agency and then fill their holes in the draft.
It's going to pain me to say this, but we're the second best team in the NFC East.
I think with Saquon back, you're probably the best. And I only say that because Dallas just, I don't know what they're going to do defensively. They've got math problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know how they're going to improve defensively. Will they be dangerous in that division with Dak? Yes, I believe in Dak Prescott. I don't know if that's a two playoff team division though.
Nah, I think it's a one playoff division.
And then Washington just signs Ryan Fitzpatrick.
He doesn't move the needle.
I think he moves the needle slightly though. I disagree there. I think he moves the needle, keeps them competitive every game. You're not going to see the washout games that you saw with Dwayne Haskins, and you're not going to have to depend. You're not going to have to walk out there not knowing what you're going to get from Tyler Heineke at all. And you're not going to have to figure out if Kyle Allen is going to ever kick it up either. So I think he'll keep them competitive in every single football game. It's just that he's going to lose you some games with his mentality.
That's why I said it doesn't move the needle, because he could play great for 3 quarters, and then that 4th quarter come, if the game is tight, he'll give it away.
Yeah, I saw it in Buffalo, and I love Ryan Fitzpatrick. You love that competitiveness, but there's just limitations physically to his game that he has problems pushing the ball down the field, over the top.
He thinks he's a Brett Favre gunslinger.
Yeah,
when there's only one of those.
But I think what keeps him competitive is he's one of the most intelligent quarterbacks.
Yeah.
He's going to carve you up if you give him everything underneath and in between. So unless your defense is really capable of doing a lot, you know what I mean? Which I think the Giants defense is more than capable. But I see with the Redskins defense, if Ryan Fitzpatrick, if they can get somebody on the other side of Terry McLaurin, you might be looking at a team that's 500 this year, just off the rip. And they might need to steal a couple of games somewhere else. I don't know what their schedule is. I haven't looked at it. But that's why I think the Giants right now I think they're in prime position to put themselves above everyone else. But Ryan Fitzpatrick makes them competitive, makes the Redskins competitive on a week-in, week-out basis.
The NFC East, we play the AFC West.
Okay.
And the NFC South.
I don't believe in the NFC South this year. I think the Saints are going to take a step and a half back because I don't think Taysom Hill is a real QB. They re-signed him 4 years, $140, but every year they can get rid of him.
Mm-hmm.
And then they re-signed Jameis Winston 1 year, $12 million or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see Jameis Winston get a starting job, and I don't feel like he should be subjected to this. There's other jobs out there I think he could go get and get a couple years, go get some money.
Like where?
I'm pretty sure Washington would take him over Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Probably.
I'm pretty sure he could go maybe get a couple dollars from Jacksonville. Don't try to break the bank.
He could go to Chicago.
He could definitely go to Chicago.
He go to Chicago.
Look, I'm one of those guys. I'm wild. I think wild. If I'm Minnesota and I want to move on from Kirk Cousins, I'm looking at Jameis Winston like, hey, let's get some youth in here, or let's push him for the job since Kirk Cousins near the end of his deal anyway. I think he should go to situations like that where he could possibly unseat somebody. I could see him outplaying Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah.
Yeah, easily. I just don't like him.
I could see him outplaying Jalen Hurts.
I don't like him in this position, though, because I don't think Taysom Hill is a real quarterback. I think he's a tight end. He's Tim Tebow of modern times. He's a tight end masquerading as a quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't see it. Let's talk about the Patriots, man. How do you not talk about the Patriots? They spent $1 billion this year. I think Iron Man is their owner, Tony Stark. They just got so much money, man. Like Bruce Wayne must own the Patriots. Robert Kraft has broke the bank. We've never seen the Patriots spend like this.
Never.
They said the Patriots spent more money in the last 2 days than they have in the last 10 years altogether on free agency.
Mm-hmm.
That is not what they do. They don't pay money traditionally for free agents.
Mm-mm.
So let's look at the list of the guys they signed. Well, they signed Matthew Judon. We know that. They signed Jalen Mills. They signed they acquired Davin Godchak from the Dolphins, the D lineman.
Okay.
Yeah. They also signed Nelson Aguilar, Kendrick Bourne, tight end Jonnu Smith,
and Hunter Henry.
and Hunter Henry. So they got two very athletic, very big receiving tight ends. What does this tell you about what they're doing?
If you notice with the two tight ends that they signed, Belichick always likes to use two tight end sets.
True.
And with Judon, no, I'm sorry. What's the
Hunter Henry?
No, the other one.
Jonnu Smith.
Jonnu Smith. You can line him up in the backfield, H back.
Yeah.
You could do a lot of things with him.
You can.
Because remember when they drafted Gronk and Aaron Hernandez.
Yes.
Aaron Hernandez was in the backfield.
He was
wide
doing
out,
it all.
I see this coming with the two tight ends that they signed.
They still have questions, though, on that offensive line. For years, people have been talking about.
Trent Brown went back there.
So Trent Brown went back.
Yeah.
Okay, because they lost Joe Thuney to the Chiefs.
Yeah.
For major money. Joe Thuney got paid just now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if their line is really up to par to do the things that I think they want to do.
Well, with Trent Brown, that sure is up Cam's blind side.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so I will say this, right? And they have a lot of guys opting back in, like Dante Hightower, six players.
A lot on the defense.
A lot on the defense, right? And we know Bill Belichick is defensive mastermind, greatest football coach of all time, all of that. But in today's NFL, no matter how great your defense is, you got to be able to pass the ball to win the game. Do you trust Cam Newton? Because, all right, they got N'Keal Harry. They're going to have Nelson Aguilar and Kendrick Bourne. In your opinion, are any of those guys difference makers?
No.
Then look at the backfield. They've got Sony Michel. They're talking to Chris Carson. And they're also talking to Leonard Fournette, the rumors say. So even if they pick up another guy, are any of those guys difference makers?
Not enough to overtake Buffalo in the NFC East.
And the AFC East?
AFC East, I'm sorry. I do think with a couple positive bounces for them, they probably can sneak into the playoffs at like 10-6.
Well, there's 17 games this year.
Really?
Yeah, I think they are. That must have been a discussion. I thought they added that 17th game this year. I'm not sure, but I thought that was one of the things they're working on before the collective bargaining agreement, before the new deal.
I still think they'll get in the playoffs. Not a division winner though, because I think Buffalo's going to have that as long as Josh Allen is still the quarterback and y'all keep him healthy. I think Buffalo's going to have that division for a while. Not to say that because I mean you're a Bills fan.
Yeah. And that's where like I have a lot of Bills fans that were worried like, oh, we need to make a move, we need to make a splash. I just don't feel like any of the guys they signed like literally put them over the top. Buffalo's re-signed their entire team. Everybody we were worried about losing, we re-signed them and we have them on team-friendly deals. Guys actually want to come back and run this thing back. We were able to keep Matt Milano, which I'm happy for, even though I thought there was a way to replace him. But I'm happy we keep him because I'm all about depth, and especially for a guy like him who gets injured from time to time.
But going back to New England, they were 7-9. But I do think if they would have had Dante Hightower and all those defensive guys, they probably would have made the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't think they would have been better than Buffalo, but I do think they would have been a better team. But there's still the Cam Newton question. He's one of the players I've criticized the most on like in his entire career. He's never gotten better, if you ask me, as a passer.
No.
I don't think Cam Newton has ever been an elite thrower of the football. He's always been on teams with elite defense, and he's always been on teams that have elite running games. There's always something elite around him that covers up his deficiencies. But one thing that they've been talking about on ESPN all day, and from what I see, Cam Newton still is skipping passes to the outside. He's not completing all the passes he should. And to me, to get further in the AFC and to make a deep playoff run, you got to win the game from the pocket. Because you're also not the physical specimen you used to be. Taking off and running is not your game anymore. You're not that fast. You're starting to get hurt. Things like that.
But I do think with New England's defense coming back,
yeah,
they can win 10-7 games now, 13-10 games now. You don't really need Cam in the offense to do that much. But we got to see how the defense is going to come back.
We do.
If they could come back and not miss a beat, And just think, they were 7-9 last year without nobody.
This is true. This is true, and I see it. And like I said, they'll win more football games this year. They'll be better because Bill Belichick is just a much better coach. And everything they have on defense, we're playing against, I want to say, the AFC South and the NFC North. There's wins. There's wins to be had. And honestly, I think they're going to get 2 wins against the Dolphins.
Y'all play the AFC. Y'all play the AFC East.
No, we are the AFC East. So
I mean,
we
y'all
got
play the NFC South. Yeah.
And yeah. Oh, so it's the AFC South, the NFC South. Yeah. There's wins all up and down the schedule for them, just like it will be for us. Because last year we had one of the tougher draws. We had the AFC West and the NFC West.
Mm-hmm.
My thing I can see with them, I'm looking at the AFC East, and I do think New England will be they'll be in the playoff conversation. It's because Miami just didn't get better. They lost and they cut. And getting rid of Ryan Fitzpatrick, not having a backup for Tua, who showed you nothing, I don't see it. I don't see this Dolphins team that everybody swears. They just traded for Shaq Lawson with the Texans. I didn't get it. They swapped guys. And then the fact they listed him as a linebacker when he's been a DN since he came in NFL is very troubling to me, because what are you playing in Miami? I don't get what they're doing down there. And and as a Bills fan, I hope they stay where they are, even though they're not going to compete with us. And then the New York Jets are just non-existent.
They're the Jets.
They don't know if they want to trade Sam Darnold. They don't know if they want to keep him. They don't know if they want to draft a quarterback. They don't know anything.
Nothing.
They finally made Frank Gore retire. Like, that was their claim to fame. He said, look, I didn't think I would go out like this, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? He was like, I got to go.
Yeah.
Finally, I got to go talk to my family.
The Jets are the Jets.
Yeah.
Like, they've been the Jets for forever.
Jets are horrible.
I think New England finishes second in the East.
Yeah.
Miami, and then the Jets. I think New England fights for one of the last playoff spots.
One of the more interesting divisions I've been looking at, the AFC North. The Steelers won a lot of games last year, but you saw it wasn't sustainable in the playoffs. The Colts have Carson Wentz. And then the Ravens. Are the Ravens?
The Colts in the AFC South.
Oh, AFC South. I'm sorry.
It's the Bengals, Browns, Ravens.
Browns. That's what I mean. The Browns.
With Baker.
Yeah, I'm confused because I wanted to talk about the AFC South. But we'll get to that because the Titans just signed Bud Dupree. Yeah, there's so much going on. All right. With the Browns and what they're doing. With the Ravens. With the Steelers. And Ben Roethlisberger took a pay cut. Do you think they'll bring back Juju Smith?
Nope.
You don't think they can afford him?
I think there was a report that he was telling teammates that he was going somewhere else.
Okay.
He's been linked to the Giants.
I'm one of the guys, I like Juju, but is he a number one receiver? I don't think so.
I want Kenny Galladay over Juju.
If he can stay healthy.
If he can stay healthy. But if we do wind up signing Juju, I mean, he's better than what we got.
Yeah. Juju is, if I had to put him somewhere, he's good.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's elite. So if I had to give a true number one receiver like Stephon Diggs, we say he's A+.
Mm-hmm.
Juju is A-.
B+.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's fair. He's that tier below top receiver status, and that's he's a very interesting guy because I don't know if any team that's going anywhere is going to be willing to break the bank for Juju Smith-Schuster.
No.
I don't know if he's going to get what he's asking for.
No. I think Juju's a 13 to $15 million player.
Yeah.
I don't think he's that 18 and above. I don't think if that's what he's asking for, I don't think he gets it anywhere.
Honestly, too, I think the Steelers are still the best situation for him because they have a place for him. They have a role for him. They've already decided to bring him Roethlisberger back for whatever reason. So God bless him. But what I'm saying is, I just think this might be the time where he should take a concession and stay in Pittsburgh for a couple years. Just hang around.
Or at least one more.
Yeah, because I also don't. I think Juju leaving is going to end up bad for both teams. Like, because I just, or wherever he goes, it's not going to be a great situation. And I don't think the Steelers return with the same offensive firepower that they had unless they just hit blackjack on the first draw in the draft. I just don't see it. They're not drafting high enough to get a difference maker at those positions. But then I wanted to talk about the AFC South. Jaguars, we're not talking about them. I refuse. But the Colts, we're not talking about the Texans, but the Colts and the Titans. Two interesting teams.
No, we have to say something about the Texans. They just signed Tyrod Taylor.
Oh, Tyrod Taylor to a 1-year, $12 million deal. I was one of the most critical people, but that must mean Deshaun Watson is almost out of there. Because you are not giving $12 million to Tyrod Taylor for 1 year without knowing that Deshaun Watson is going to hold out. Usually you can call a guy's bluff, like, are you willing to lose all this money? They must have got a message from Deshaun Watson, a look in his eye. He must have said something on the phone. But to sign Tyrod Taylor to 1 year, $12 million, listen.
Sums up.
Two things are going to happen. They're going to trade Deshaun Watson. Who knows where he goes? So he's definitely getting traded. But now the choice is where he's going to go. That's a whole nother conversation, probably for another show when that gets resolved, or when that gets closer to coming to fruition. But two things are going to happen. Tyrod Taylor is going to be starting after a quarterback is drafted extremely high in that draft. And he's eventually going to lose his job by week 5 or 6 because the team is just going to be so damn bad.
Yeah.
It's going to be ugly.
Yeah.
It's about to get fugly in Houston.
Yeah, Tyrod Taylor, he's like a gap quarterback.
Oh yeah. He's a bridge quarterback.
He knows that.
Yeah,
he knows that.
He's like a half a step below Fitzpatrick.
Yeah,
people get Fitzpatrick to play him. They get Tyrod Taylor to say we have to play somebody.
Yes,
I don't want to get fired. So and you actually know how to play football. Yes. So come on out.
Give me 3 games, and I'll give you a pat on the back.
Exactly. Give me 3. Give me through that first quarter of the season until my rookie knows the playbook. That's it. And then you can run some scout team for me. Either you get hurt or you throw a game, and then we got to get you out of there. That's it. That is a curious question. But I want to talk about the Colts, and I wanted to talk about the Titans. I don't know if the Titans come back like to what they were. I just don't see it. And I think they just lost Corey Davis.
To the Jets.
They lost Corey Davis. God bless Corey Davis. But how do you see that division shaping up?
I think the Colts might win that division.
Yeah.
I think Carson is going to come in and be the best quarterback they had since Andrew Luck.
Definitely.
You're giving him a top 5 offensive line, which he never had in Philly.
Never.
You're giving him a borderline great defense.
Yeah.
If they can keep T.Y., you're going to give him a nice number 1. And then the running game for the Colts is great.
They are.
So I think the Colts should be the favorite in that division right now. I'm
curious to see if Derrick Henry has another year of this running through walls. Because, we've seen everybody do this for 2 or 3 years. Like, we've seen a lot of guys do this. But the way he runs and the way he's built, I'm curious to see if he has another year, or does he start to hit that shelf for power backs?
Yeah, I think he only got a couple years left of power back football.
Well, in his case, it's going to be football because there's no receiving coming out the backfield.
No,
he can't line up and do anything else.
And I don't think you're gonna have another great season out of Ryan Tannehill.
I've been telling people that, like, last season, I think was an apparition. I think there's guys who benefited from the COVID effects of the season, and I think Ryan Tannehill is one of them. They pretty much got a bye week in the middle of the season because they caught COVID, and it threw a lot of other people off. So they got to be out there with fresh legs and really get on a run, and they had extra weeks of just studying and preparation, even though they couldn't be together. There was a lot of weird things that happened that I thought really, really helped Ryan Tannehill in the Titans this year, but I'm not a believer of him. I don't think he could start for somebody in the NFL, but I don't think he's a starting level quarterback.
Right.
Long term, or even in the midterm. Like, he's a short term option until you figure it out.
Right. And I think they gave Bud Dupree too much money coming off of a late season ACL.
A late season ACL. Yeah. I'm wondering if he explodes the same, because that was one of the big things. Bud Dupree, I mean, playing in space, the guy has all of it. I love Bud Dupree as a linebacker.
Pittsburgh
I
went
think he'll play for
downhill.
anybody. Yeah.
Pittsburgh went downhill when he got hurt.
Exactly. Yeah, Buffalo definitely exploited them when Bud Dupree went down that game.
Because there's a difference between, like, Saquon's ACL tear happened in week 3.
Yeah.
Bud Dupree's happened in week 12.
Right.
So early in the season, basically, you done missed a whole season.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's an extra 3 months of rehab. Yeah.
That late season ACL tear, week 12.
Yeah, but defense is something the Titans really need, and they need to address, because their defense it was horrible, and it was very bad for much of the season.
They thought they were getting a lot out of Jadeveon Clowney, but he didn't give them anything. I think he only signed a 1-year deal. So I think he's a free agent.
Jadeveon Clowney is definitely a free agent, and I'm curious to see if anybody else is going to trust Jadeveon Clowney, because right now he's proven to be untrustworthy as a free agent option. It's like Yannick Ngakoue just got his money, right?
Yeah.
Just with who did he go to? The Ravens?
Raiders.
Oh, the Raiders. He just got his money. Is Jadeveon Clowney better than Yannick Ngakoue? Because that guy's on his 3rd team in 1 year, in 12 months.
Yeah.
I've never seen that from somebody who's supposed to be an elite pass rusher.
Right.
So I'm wondering if another team, knowing that they learned that lesson and watching how these other guys are getting burned on trying to find pass rushing, which is something everyone needs in the NFL, if another team is going to come out here and give Jadeveon Clowney this 1 year, $15 million unicorn contract. Because it just, to me, he doesn't make enough of an impact on the game to warrant that. And I'm just wondering if anybody believes he still can.
As far as like the Giants, I would take Jadeveon Clowney on a cheap prove it deal.
Yeah.
I'm not giving him no 18, 19, $20 million.
His deal would have to be incentive laden.
Yes.
For me.
Yes.
I'm going to need 9 sacks from you. I'm going to need you to play 70% of your snaps when you're on the field. I'm going to need a certain amount of tackles. I'm going to need the team to, have X amount of improvement of the run defense, because he checks in and out of plays.
I think Jadeveon is turning into a sidekick. His best season was when J.J. Watt was on the other side.
Very true.
I don't think he can go to a team and be the number 1 pass rusher. I don't think he's a guy that can consistently beat double teams.
And that's where I'm wondering, like, with these pass rushers that are out there, I mean, these are names where you're like, oh, these guys have potential, but I haven't seen a pass rusher pay off. Khalil Mack included. Like, of players moving in the past 3 or 4 years, it's kind of hard. It's almost like if you don't draft these guys, they're not gonna pan out the way you want them to.
Like, Tampa.
Yeah.
Shaq Barrett benefited from JPP being on the other side.
He definitely did.
Even though Shaq had 19 and a half sacks the year before, he had 8 this year. Because now you can't really, even though his sacks was down, you really can't game plan for him because JPP was on the other side.
Yeah.
So that's the same thing with Clowney. He needs another edge rusher on the other side to take pressure. Because now if you can't double one of them. So, I mean, like he had his best season with J.J. Watt. Like, J.J. was going to get the double team. Clowney's going to beat the single coverage.
Speaking of the Buccaneers, they brought their whole Super Bowl team back. There's still Antonio Brown out there and a couple other guys. They franchised Godwin, which was a little questionable decision if you ask me, but they still brought Shaq Barrett back. And Levante David, they still got they have yet to bring back Leonard Fournette, but I think these low-price veterans, you bring them back last after you bring guys in. But since they brought Gronk back and everybody, are they still the favorite to you in the NFC?
Yep. Yep.
I just saw Dan Orlovsky on ESPN this morning say they were going to go 16-0. That was absurd. That's absurd.
I seen that. I don't believe it, but I get
What he's saying.
I get what he's saying because they're playing the NFC East.
Whew.
Like nobody in NFC East really scares Brady but the Giants.
Right.
But I don't think we got enough to beat. Even though I mean they beat us by 2. Then they're playing your division, which Buffalo's the only team that can beat them.
Yeah.
But if they can beat Buffalo, nobody in the AFC East is going to beat them.
Listen, I hope this podcast gets really famous and we start getting paid and we get paid to go to these sporting events because I can't wait to see the Buccaneers versus the Patriots. I want to be sitting at the 50-yard line watching that game, how real that's going to get.
We need to.
Yeah, is that a home or away game? That's going to be that better be Monday night or Sunday night. Put that on Sunday night after everybody gets their teams out of the way. I want to see Patriots, Buccaneers. And I hope the game is in New England. I want to see that game in New England. And I want it to be early in the year because I want fair weather. I don't want like high wind. I don't want freezing rain, ice, snow, none of that.
They're at New England.
They're at New England. That is going to be the grudge match of the century. And I just want to see how that game is played. And I want to see what the post-game handshake looks like.
It doesn't say
what week it is. They haven't released the schedule yet.
But I'm looking at their opponent.
Listen, NFL should open the season with that game. I would love it right now. Usually they open with like a rematch of the playoff or the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? They usually get that out the way early.
Or not the rematch. They'll have Tampa playing probably somebody that I wouldn't be surprised if it's that game.
Yeah. I would put Tampa versus New England Thursday night to start the season. If the NFL wants to make as much money as possible, there's going to be people in the stands. Go ahead and do it.
Either do it Thursday night or make it the Monday night.
Oh, man.
The first Monday night of the season.
Listen, I usually, I don't really get too far in the games like that, but that's going to be the one because I think Tom Brady so far has won the discussion of who meant more. And I'll always say that, like, Bill Belichick is the greatest coach of all time to me. Second is probably Bill Walsh. I'll give it to Bill Walsh. But having a quarterback for 20 years, and he gave you probably 10 years of hometown discounts so you could keep this team together. Having the greatest quarterback of all time do what he needs to do to keep your franchise viable, that can't be understated ever.
And he's doing it already in Tampa. Like he restructured his deal to bring the band back.
Listen, man.
And they're gonna get Antonio Brown back because they could pay him a box of chips because he just want to play with Brady.
He just wants to play. Yeah, he wants a chance at a ring and immortality. What they're doing is building his legacy. He's gonna make the Hall of Fame because of this. Yeah. Even though he was a psycho the last 24 months, he's gonna make the Hall of Fame, which is gonna be amazing to watch a guy like spiral out, go into a couple Super Bowl wins or a couple Super Bowl appearances, and make the Hall of Fame. That's it. If T.O. got in, Antonio Brown's gonna get in with these rings.
Because I truly believe that they're probably gonna repeat.
Yeah,
they're probably gonna repeat
because they're the team with the least amount of question marks. I say the one team in the NFC that on paper challenges them right now is the Rams. That's it. Because I think Matt Stafford finally has a team, like that can compete at a high level over an extended period of time. Yeah. So I say Buccaneers, Rams. Those are the top two teams in the NFC to me. Everybody else is just fodder. I don't know what you're going to get out of the Seahawks. If the Niners are healthy, maybe they can make some noise. But neither those teams aren't near the top at all, in my opinion.
It's Tampa and it's the Rams right now.
Man, we got to put that on our podcast calendar, man. Buccaneers. We got we got to talk about. That's going to be its own show, breaking down the Buccaneers. Yeah. We got to get a Bucs fan and a Patriots fan in here. You know what I mean, to talk about it.
Do you know any Patriots fans?
I do know some Patriots fans.
I know one. Shout out to Teddy. Shout out to Teddy, man. He's a Patriots fan.
All right, Teddy. Yo, we got to get you up here, man, once we figure out what the schedule is and maybe that week we can just break down that game ad nauseum. I want to talk about it,
That's gonna be crazy.
especially the way the Patriots D loaded up too. Whew.
Yo, Patriots, Tampa. Let's get our podcast at the game.
Yo, yeah, we need to be right there in the corner of the end zone before the game talking about it. That's gonna be the no matter what the weather is, it's gonna be the iciest game ever. Like that's bad blood right there.
Yeah. And I think Tampa beat them by 50.
Oh man, yeah, I could see them running it up because it just Cam, man. And part of the reason you're saying that is because Cam ain't gonna shoot it out with them.
And part of the reason we say that is Brady's gonna go back there and prove a point.
Yeah, I've never seen, other than Michael Jordan, I've never seen anyone motivate from within like Tom Brady. Him and Michael Jordan have the same thing in them. And Kobe Bryant. That's it. I've never seen three people despise their opponents more and it be great than them.
Yes.
Yeah, like this guy, the guys who have like bad attitudes and they really want to stick it to you and they want to bring it to you. But I've seen Brady make the Buffalo Bills a point of contention when we're not even competitive. Like my man, we're 2-9 right now. You know, we got a lot of issues. Why do you care so much about this game?
Like when he when the one guy was talking some hot mess to him and then he threw the bomb and then went down to the end zone and pointed in his face like,
yo,
Brady.
what he did in the Super Bowl. People thought he was wrong for that. I'm like, this is what he's been doing.
oh yeah. As soon as Honey Badger started talking, he targeted him like the next 4 plays.
There's 2 quarterbacks that I want on my all-time trash talking top 5 all time. Phillip Rivers and Tom Brady. Those are 2 guys that are going to point at the scoreboard and then tell you to do something foul. You know what I mean? And that I love that from the quarterback position, man. You got all these athletic guys and they do these little dances and they're demonstrative, but these guys are talking. They in your face, and they're coming at you too. They're calling plays at the line to target you, and that's what. Oh man, it's gonna be so beautiful, man. We gave that a long breakdown. Real quick, Oklahoma State Athletic High School Sports women's or girls basketball championship.
Disgusting.
Yeah. A team decided to kneel. A team full of young girls decided to kneel in the national anthem. The announcer goes on a racist tirade. He says, they're kneeling, F those N-words. And then the longer recording, you hear just him just bashing his team for wanting to show solidarity for Black Lives Matter and against police brutality and things like that in this country. His excuse was, my blood sugar was low. I got a little beside myself.
It's the world we live in.
Yeah, and it's Oklahoma. Like,
Yeah, it's sickening.
I got family from there. My mom was not surprised at what was said.
Right.
It's definitely the country.
And there were white girls on the team.
I didn't see many black people out there. Might have been one black person.
I think when I saw it on SportsCenter, I think there was like 3 or 4 black girls.
Between both teams.
No, on that one team.
Oh, on that one team? Okay, yeah.
I saw about 3 or 4 black girls, but there was a lot of white girls on the team.
That's what I thought. I was like, it's at least a mostly white team. I didn't get his thing.
And then the whole team took a knee, not just the black girl.
Yeah, that's what when I initially saw it, I was like, there's a sure lot of white people kneeling right there. But for him to just go on that tirade and blame his diabetes, and then when they asked the school, like, who is this dude? Why does he have this job? And they're like, oh, he's contracted outside. I mean, another question. When did they start contracting announcers for high school games?
Well, them schools in the South, they take sports real serious. So
I don't need an announcer to watch kids play ball.
Right.
Yeah, like I mean, if it's the state championship, I get it.
Right.
Because we got to put that on TV. But it's high school basketball sectionals or whatever.
Right. Like I don't like when I was in high school when we played Bayonne in the championship game. Like the game was recorded, but there was no announcer.
Yeah, or if there's an announcer, it's one of the teachers that does the AV department, and he's got a student sitting with him or something.
Right.
Somebody that cares enough to want to do it.
Right.
A journalism guy.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
like guys like that want to use racial slurs and not knowing the mic was hot
Yeah.
is something. That's how they really feel.
Yeah, of course, all the time.
Or
All the
like
time.
or like when they use it at home or whatever. Like when you're home, you're comfortable.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, I'm gonna say this, that because I'm comfortable.
It flowed so clean.
Clean.
I'm like, this dude really feels like this towards a bunch of girls. It was wild. And then I've been searching the internet trying to find a medical journal that will support that diabetes causes racism.
Not gonna find it.
That's crazy. I was like, yo, I'm trying to find the symptoms listed because I don't want to be a racist if I catch diabetes or if
Yeah.
I develop a blood sugar issue.
What are the side effects?
Yeah,
of-
what are the side effects of diabetes? What are the symptoms? Oh man, I just can't stop, putting down other races and stuff like that. I can't stop being racist. Like, what? Damn, my blood sugar low. Let me take an insulin shot so I don't be racist. Like that is crazy to me.
Yeah, he that person. I don't know the person.
Yeah.
He had that in his heart his whole life. He probably was born into that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for him to just let it flow out so smooth like that, I mean, he's used to saying it.
That is wild. That is wild. I've never thought I would see anything like that. And then to use diabetes, I think he should apologize to diabetes and all the diabetics out there.
He should.
Like, yo, dog, come on. You just got to own that. Because that's, my blood sugar was low. I got a little crazy. It's like, no, you just forgot the mic was hot. And it was a high school game full of high school girls. I hope you never work in that field again. You should pay the penalty. We're going to cancel people. That's what I'm all about canceling.
Yeah.
Because that was kids at the end of the day, too.
Right.
Like, I don't want that to get lost on anybody. Like, he's so racist, he's coming at kids and calling them slurs.
We're canceling cartoon characters.
You
but
know
we
what it
need to cancel this guy.
You know what it reminded me of, too? He thought he was in a safe space.
Yeah.
So the mic was off, and he
Yeah.
thought he was up in the booth. Nobody could hear him. It reminded me of Riley Cooper. And that's with the Eagles. He's at a country music concert. He says to a white or a black bouncer that I guess he had an issue with, yeah, I'll fight every N-word in here. You're at a country music concert. How many are there?
The bouncer.
Exactly. Now, if you go to Kevin Hart's show, keep that same energy, my friend.
Well, he will not.
Yeah, and it was at the link too. You're in one of the blackest cities, and where I just thought like, yo, when these kind of people, when they're in that safe space, they let loose, man.
Man,
They
and he
let
got
loose, and we know this.
and he got a contract extension after that.
And that's Chip Kelly, man. There was a lot of things said about Chip Kelly, and that was one of them where you had to look at him sideways, like, look, man, it's looking shaky, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that just reminded me of Riley Cooper when I thought of that. You think you're in a safe space and you're not around many black people, so you just go off.
Just go with it.
Yeah, you just freestyling off the top of the dome.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, man, this was a good show. Real quick, how your Yankees looking in spring training?
World Series champions, baby.
You think so? What gives you that inclination?
We have the team for it.
Yeah.
Pitcher staff is looking good.
Okay.
We have a good problem. We have too many starters.
Right.
That's a good problem.
That's
to
a
have.
great problem.
We have too many starters. We brought DJ back. Gary Sanchez is looking good. I need to see a little bit more defense from him,
Yeah.
but I think this is the year. Like, it's been too long for a Yankee standard. It's been too long.
Yeah.
It's been since 2009. It's long enough.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys, y'all spend all the money and get where you need to go.
We need.
The evil empire. Y'all trying to bring it back.
We're not spending enough because the son, Steinbrenner's son, he wants to stay under the luxury tax.
I mean,
Go
spend that money.
Go.
Dog. Y'all make $2 billion a year just off merchandise and just brand alone. Like just go get that bread.
turn into your dad.
Exactly.
Back up the Brinks truck for whoever we need to get
Yeah.
ring number 28.
Find some way to get Mike Trout in the Bronx. That's what I see y'all doing, man. Oh my God.
Right.
Oh my God. But also my Mariners, they're looking solid in spring training with all the young prospects we got. We got some nice young bats out there. I've been hearing James Paxton's almost back to 100%. They say he's throwing 95. His velocity's back after surgery. He hasn't pitched in an A game yet, but having another starter for us is going to be big because we have an okay staff for where we're at that can win you some games. And if we can put it all together and become that team that manufactures runs, and a lot of our younger players, like I think we could make some noise out west. Like you said, in the AL West, there's not a whole lot of competition out there for us, So
A's are the only competition you looking like to have.
yeah, and last year we were good for about half the season. You know what I mean? And it let us know like we're not as far away as we thought. We have a fully stocked farm system. I'm hoping I see a good April and May out of the Mariners. I'm okay if they're 500 after April and May.
Mm-hmm.
That's my floor. I'm okay with it. If not, then we're just gonna have to rebuild and just continue the rebuild process.
I think I'm finally gonna get the World Series that I picked for the last 2 years: Yankees, Dodgers.
Yankees, Dodgers. Yeah, I don't see the Dodgers slowing down either. And
No.
yeah, we're local to the Phillies, so we get a lot of Phillies news, but they still got too many holes on that. roster.
Yankees come to Philly this year.
Oh, they do. So you're definitely gonna be at the game.
Trying.
Yeah, I got to check the schedule. My Mariners, they usually come to Baltimore, so I'll probably shoot down there. I love Camden Yards.
We could try to catch a Yankees Mariners game.
Oh, we could definitely do that.
Try
I
to
love
catch
going
that.
to the Bronx.
Try to catch one of
I
them.
love going to the Bronx, man. I remember that day I went and it was 104 degrees. I was on a date and it was Felix versus what's my man name? Sabathia.
CC.
Yo, man, it was so hot outside, but them dudes both gave 6-7 strong innings. That was a great game to watch.
That's one thing that I'm gonna miss that CC's not playing because
Yeah.
CC will give me 7 innings.
Yeah, he gonna throw hard for 7 innings.
Right. He might give up 7 runs, but
Yeah.
he's gonna give my bullpen a break.
Right.
He's gonna go 7 and then but we don't I don't think we have that on our team right now. Baseball is not that anymore. Baseball is for starters to go 5-6.
5-6, and then calling all your specialists. I got my short reliever, middle reliever, long reliever. I got my left hand batter specialist. I'm tired of the specialization, and that's why when you said too many starters, I'm of the thing. If I'm building a baseball team, and finding relief pitching is hard, I'm going to acquire as many starters as I can.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm going to do, and somebody's going to drop down, do some relief. But for the most part, I want as many pitchers to go as long as possible.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would want from my baseball team. So I think that's a good problem to have. And like with the Mariners, with Paxton coming back and some of these younger guys, we could possibly have a 5 or 6 man rotation
Right.
of solid pitching where it's not like, oh, 5th day we're getting smoked.
Right.
So we better swing them bats. Or the 4th day when things get really bad.
Right.
When you only got 3 decent pitchers, that's bad baseball, baby.
Mm-hmm.
You know, somebody's ERA is a 9, and you're like, yeah, we got to put him out there.
Yeah.
We hoping that comes down to about a 6 so we can move them.
I think we're good rotation wise. And then I mean whichever guy doesn't make the rotation, he could be long relief.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. But yo, this is a good podcast. Super Dave, once again. You know what I mean? Make sure y'all follow him on Facebook, Henny Hardaway. You know, men's league commissioner
The Super League.
/ podcast sidekick.
The Super League.
The Super League is
April
starting up.
11th.
Yeah, so if you're local to South Jersey, look up the Super League, SUPA. It'll be in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. Dolphins reached a deal with Malcolm Brown.
And Jacoby Brissett.
And Jacoby Brissett. Dolphins signed Jacoby Brissett. Bye-bye Tua.
Titans signed Janoris
Titans signed Janoris Jenkins. Interesting. Look, news is just flowing in as we're trying to end this podcast. All right, and make sure y'all check us out, Indio Group. Follow us at Indio Media Group on Instagram, and catch us on YouTube at the Indio Media Group page on the YouTube channel, Pick and Roll Podcast. And just hit us up, comments, let us know what you think. Like us, share us, subscribe. Just support us, man. We out here really getting into sports, breaking it down, and enjoy sports. And we'll see y'all next week.